Welcome to the part 3 of the series. So for those of us joining late, we're building this smart or gateless parking app using Nextjs and machine learning in Python. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start getting into the actual fun stuff, where we're going to start with this locations. So we will be able to add locations, see them on a map, and then we should also be able to edit them and all. So this will be an admin portion, and we'll be locking this, protecting this route when we do the authentication. So for now it's open so that we can just quickly do this. Anyway, so I've already checked in the code, by the way, so you can go to the GitHub repo and get the, if you want to take a look at the code, and that's there. Anyway, so what we need to do first, we need to get the API key for Google Maps. I've already covered this in my previous tutorials. All right, so I'm gonna go in here and we're gonna just get started. All right, so basically if you're gonna land on something similar, so just go to the APIs and services. All right, so you're gonna come here, and what you wanna do is enable the Maps JavaScript API, and then you wanna enable the Places API and the Places API new. All right, with that done, and then what you can do is, if I just expand this page, then you're gonna go to keys and credentials, and this is where you can, if you don't have a key, you can just create one right here. But since I already have it, so I will be using that. If you don't see your key, just hit show key, and that's that. All right, so I'm gonna minimize this. We're gonna come back here, and then back in the app, we need to create an env file. Inside of it, we're going to put the variable. So I'm going to start by saying Google Maps, okay, and then you're going to do next public Maps API key, like that. Now, so this, we're saying next public because we want this to be available on the front end, and the reason is you cannot use the map on server side, right? Because server side scripts are, or pages are static. You just cannot have that interactivity, so it has to be rendered on the client side. I am going to paste it here and save it. With that done, then the other thing we need to do is install some dependencies. So I'll come over here and I will close this one, and let me see if I can expand this. There we go. Maybe I should do this. Cool. So what I want to do is I'll say npm install, and the first dependency is Google Maps JS API loader, that, and then the other one is at react dash Google dash Maps dash API. So Google Maps JS API loader and React Google Maps API. So I hope it's correct. Cool, so that is that. So now I can close this one and we can start. I will minimize this back to that level, and then we can come to here, the component. So what I want to do is start off by adding the address autocomplete component, so then we can utilize it in different places. So we're going to create a new file, and then I'm going to call it address auto complete, okay, and I'm just going to call it input.tsx, like that. So let's close this, and then we're going to do address auto complete input, okay, like that. I'm going to save it. So it's going to have a couple of props, so I'm going to do type, and I'm going to just copy this name, and we're going to do props, okay, like that. And so first, when an address is selected, we want the client to be notified. So I'm going to create a callback function, and we'll do address auto select, and this basically will return a string and GPS coords. Okay, and this is of type lat and long, and it returns a void like that. So now you must be asking, well, what is lat long? So for that, what we can do is we can come over here to our, do we have a types folder? Now it doesn't look like we have a types folder. So what I'll do is I'll create a new folder. I'm going to call it types. Then within this, I will create an index.tsx. Then right here, I will do export type lat long. So lat is a number and longitude is a number. So that's all I have here. I'm going to save this, close it, and I'm going to come back here. Let's see if this will work. Boom. So that brought that. Okay, so we created this callback function that will return to us an address, a string, and GPS coordinates. And then also we need to pass it a selected address. Okay, and this will come in handy. This is, by the way, optional. So that's why I'm putting that question mark. Okay, and let me see. I think I need to do this. And, oh, this should be, sorry. This should have been inside of these brackets because it's a type. Anyway, so that's that. And then what I will do is I'll come here and I can do on address select and selected address, and this is of type address, whatever, blah blah blah, props. All right, cool. So I have that, and this one, by the way, will be a client component because, well, you can put a use client in this one, but whichever component you're using this inside will be client components anyway. So by default, it should be client. So you don't actually have to put it, but if you want, you can put a use client. So what I will do is I will come here, and what we can do is I can create a state, and it's going to be autocomplete, and then set autocomplete like that. And then what I can do is I can say use state. It's coming from React, and the type of this is google.maps.places.autocomplete. Okay, and then otherwise null, and initially I'm going to set this to null like that. Okay, now we need to load the JavaScript API. So what we can do is we can say const, and I'm going to fill this in, but what I'll do is I'll say use JS API loader. Now it's not going to come by itself, so what we need to do is we need to bring it in. So I can do import, and we'll do use JS API loader, and this is coming from at React Google Maps API like that. All right, so let's see. Okay, so that works. That's good. All right, so I'm gonna give it a nonce. Okay, and this could be anything. Honestly, I just went ahead online, generated a some sort of a random string, and that's what I'm using. You can do the same. And then what I will do is here you need to give it the API key, and this is coming from process.env.next public. Okay, and we're gonna say maps API key, and we're just gonna tell it it's a string. And then now we're gonna load some libraries, right? What kind of libraries we are loading, because it comes with a bunch of libraries, so we need to now do those. So for that, we're gonna come to our lib under utils, and I can just come here and pop them here, and let's see. So I can say export const libs. Okay, now this is type library, which is coming from here, and it's an array. Okay, and then I want to do the core maps places and marker, because we will be needing these like so. So I'm going to save it. We're going to go back here. I'm going to close it, and let's try this again. So if I do libs, boom, that's coming from here. Okay, and from this one I want to take is loaded. So before you do anything, you want to make sure that the library is loaded. Alright, so after this, what I can do is I can come here and I can say places auto complete ref. We need a ref to the input, and this will use a ref from React, and the type will be HTML input element like that, and initially it's going to be null because we don't have any ref yet. Okay, and then what I will also do is, whoa, it should be null. Okay, and then also what I want to do is I'm going to create a use effect because we want to be reloading things. So I'm going to come here, and then this basically should only execute when we are loaded. Okay, so what I can do here is if is loaded. Okay, only if we are loaded, then we're going to do something. So since I'm in Ontario, what I want to do is I want to constrain or limit the Google Maps to that location. So this way you can save your cost, right? So if you know that your clients will be in certain geographic location, I think you should just limit it to that. So that will save you in cost. So I can do maps dot lat long bounds like that. And for this one, what you need to do is, so you're basically just doing like a rectangle, and it says from southwest to northeast. And I've already have the coordinates. I went on a map and found those, so that's why I'm putting those here. So nothing fancy here, is just that. And then what I can do also is I can say const. I think I should expand this because we're not using it yet. And what I can do here is I can say autocomplete. So Google autocomplete is equal to new Google dot maps dot places places dot autocomplete. That's the one I want. And so to this one you're gonna pass the input element because it's going to render it there, and you do HTML input element like that. Okay, and then you want to give it the bounds, so the bounds will be Ontario bounds like that. Let me scroll up, escape this. Too many windows pop up when you start typing. And then I will specify the fields. So the fields that I want to spit, because it's going to give you a lot of fields, but I want to do a formatted address. Okay, and I want to do geometry. Okay, we want to get the GPS coordinates. And then component restrictions, what I want to do is I'm going to just specify the country, and I will say just give me Canada, because it's going to give you the addresses from all over the world. So you want to restrict it to specific countries. So again, this will help in saving the cost. Okay, once you have that, then what I want to do is add a listener. So I'm going to do add listener, and when a place is changed, right, that's when I want this to get called, and say changed. Oop. Okay, and this is your callback function. Okay, so let's get the place. So I'm going to say gautocomplete dot get place. Okay, that'll get you the place. Then we get the position. Okay, and I'll say place dot geometry dot, this is because this could be null, so I'm going to get the location. And then finally we're going to call this function. Remember this function that we the callback function, we're going to call this, and we'll say place dot formatted address. Okay, so this will be a string, and we're going to pass the lat long. So this will be position dot lat like that, and then longitude will be position dot lng like that. Now it's complaining. I think I should do this just to say, oops, that this is a number, and I should do the same here, and that works. Cool. And then finally what you can do here is I'm going to put an input. So this input is from Chatcn, so I'm going to say UI input. We're going to give it a ref, and that ref is the place autocomplete ref like that, and default value will be default value that is going to be selected address. So that's why we had that. Okay, so that's that. Now there's one problem with this one, that if you do a Google autocomplete and you get that drop down, right? So as you type the addresses, you get this drop down. Sometimes what will happen is when you select the address, the mouse is not gonna select that. It's not gonna get triggered on top of that. Somehow the click events go behind the actual window or the drop down. So just a trick, what you can do is you can do something like this. Create a use effect, and then within this, so what I can do like this, and you have to do this set timeout. And what I can do is I can say document dot body dot style, okay, pointer events, okay, and we're gonna set it to null or 0, sorry, we're gonna just take the pointer events and just empty them out. So this is the trick you want to do. And what I will do now, this is a problem with Radix UI. So Radix UI, because we're using Shardcn. Shardcn actually is built on top of Radix UI, so that's why we are having issue. And by the way, I'm gonna leave the link here for the GitHub that talks about this issue and the pointer locking or lockout, so that you guys can take a look at it. But that's why we're doing this. All right, so now we have the address autocomplete. I think we should go ahead and start using it. So let's see. I'm going to minimize this, and we are in locations. So I'm going to come here and go to the locations. All right, so I'm going to turn this into a template, and I'm going to call it template like that. And then here I will say template, and let's change the name of this as well, template, like that. The other thing I'll do is I'll create a new folder, and I'm going to call it components, like that, just components for this route. And then what I can do is in here, since it's a layout, we can pass it the children. So I'll say children, and we will say children is of type react.react node, like that. And then what I can do is I can say children, like that. Now what we need is we need a button that we can basically press to add a location. That's the whole idea. All right, so we need to add that button here. So for that, we're gonna go to the components, and I'll say add location button.tsx. Let's close this, and then I'll say add location button, okay, like that. All right, and then what I will do is I'm going to create a div, and then I'm going to create another div, and it's going to be flex dash column, like that. And then we will create a button, okay, and then the class name of this one be self dash, and I want this to be at the very far end. That's what I'm doing that. And then on click, what I will do is I'll say something. We're gonna get to that, and let's just do button. Let me close this. Let me come here, and let's just add a plus icon, and then class name margin right dash 2. Cool. And then what I can do is I can say add location. Now we need to do something here. So what I can do is, so this actually, when you press this button, it's going to open a dialog box, and then we can step through to add the location. So that's what I'm doing here. So I can do here const, and I'll do open, set open, and we'll do use state, like that. And initially it's going to be false. Now since we're doing the use state and all that stuff, so for now I'll just come here and I'll do use client, like that. And then in here I can just come here and I can say set open, and let's just do true, like that. All right, and then in here I will need the, let me just put this here. I'll say location add dialog. So we know we need to do this. So I'm going to save this and let's add this button and see it in action. So I'll say add location button. Okay, let me save it. Cool, there you go. So our first, I guess, proper button in this dashboard. So add location. So now we need this button to trigger a dialog. I don't know why I have this untitled file. So we need this button to trigger a dialog, and we're gonna add that. Right, so to do the dialog, I think we need to install dialog from Nextjs. So go here. So we're talking about this. All right, so I'm gonna copy this, npm, come here and install the dialog. Cool, dialog has been added. All right, so I'm gonna come here and then under the components, what we can do is we can add a file like that, and we'll say add location dialog.tsx. Cool. Close this, and then immediately we can just do this, and we can say add location dialog like that. All right, so that will be add location dialog. What I will do is I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to paste this here. And what I will also do, I will copy all of this, and what we can do is we can, I think, put it here, and I'm going to save it. So let's just do this now. So they have a trigger. We don't need this trigger because it's going to be coming from outside. So what we can do is I can basically pass in some parameters, and the first parameter I need is an ID. For initially it will be null, or default is null, and open, whoa, and set open, and then let's just define these. So this will be, I can say type props, okay, and ID, this is optional, so it's going to be string or null. Okay, and then open is a boolean, and then set open. We've done this before. It's going to be react.dispatch, and then we can do react.set state action of type boolean like that. And then in here I can do props, so that should make this happy. Let's see what's going on. Okay, I probably just made a mistake in typing, but there you go. So that's that. And then what I can do, I can get rid of this, and over here I can say open is equal to open, and on open change set open, and I'm going to save it. So let's see if I go back to my here, and remember how we said this. So I can say add location, add location dialog. There we go. And we need to pass in the open, and that will be open, and then set open will be equal to set open. All right, let's see why. Oh, it didn't bring it in. I don't know why. Cool. I'm gonna save it. Let's go, and oh, there we go. I'm gonna refresh. If I hit it, perfect. So the dialog is coming up. That's pretty cool. So now what we can do is we can add a kind of stepper or some sort in this dialog, so we can start adding the address. All right, so we need to create a store where we can save the state of the stepper as we step through adding a location. So what I can do is I can come here, let me minimize this, and I will create a new folder, and I will call it store. Oh, not store. It's gonna be store like that, and then I will create an index.ts file like that. Okay, so I will minimize this, and I will create a type, and what it will be called like spot type. So every parking location has parking spots, right? So address, and then it's going to be a string. Then we're going to have GPS codes, and it's going to be of type lat long. Then we're going to have number spots, and it's going to be number, and then we're going to have a price, and I'm just going to go with hourly. So if you are more ambitious, you can do daily price, or maybe you can also do half day price, whatever you want, but the idea is same. And then I will also create an interface, spot state, and then we're going to have data, and it's going to be of spot type, and then we're going to have update state. This is going to take data, it's going to be of type spot type, okay, and it's going to return void. And then we're going to have restart in case somebody wants to add another location, and then it's going to be like that, void. Okay, and then I will do export const, also use my spot store. Okay, and we're going to do create. So this create is coming from zoo stand. That's what I'm going to bring it like that, and then I'm going to do spot state. Okay, and then I will do set. Okay, and then we will do like that. Okay, and then what we need is data. Okay, and then I'm gonna do address, and then we're gonna GPS codes. So I need to do lat. I'm gonna set it to 0, and launch set it to 0. Okay, we need to fill in the others. So I'm gonna do number of spots. Let's just, so you need to have at least one spot, and I'll do price, and let's just do hourly of 0. Okay, so that's that. Then the other thing I need is update state. Okay, and this will take data, and what we can do, we can say set, and then for that I will pass in the state. Okay, and then I'm going to do the curly brace like this, and I'll just do data, and all you do is state data, and then merge it with the new data. So I'm going to do that, and then we need the restart, and for restart what we will have is set. Okay, and this doesn't take arguments, so all we do is say data, and then I will just reset basically. So I'm going to take this, okay, and I will do like that. This should be data, not date. Okay, so that will reset this for us. So I'm gonna hit save on that, and I think that should be it for this one. Now we can work in the address dialog. So currently if we click it, there's nothing in it. We're gonna add stuff. So let me just fix this a little bit. Okay, so what I will do here is I'll say const total steps. Okay, and I'm gonna say we have totally 4 steps, and then I'll do step increment is equal to 100% would mean you're done, divided by total steps. So these are our increments. I'm gonna create, well, I already have this. All right, and then what I will do also is I will come inside of here, and we're gonna do a couple of states. So I'll do step, set step, okay, and we can do use state. So initially you start with step number 1 like that, and then also I'm going to do submitting, set submitting. So this one we submit the data, and use state false, you're not submitting initially. And then I will also get a hold of the store. I'll say my store, and I will say use my spot store. Let's just call it my spot store just to be consistent. And then I will also use a router, and it's going to be use router from next navigation like that. Cool. All right, so then I will use a use effect. Okay, like that, and in here I will pass in the ID, and let's say open. So the ID is, let's say when you're editing something like a location, then you can use it for that. So that's where we're passing the ID. So what we do is we say, so what literally, let's say when you open, so I'll say set step. So I'll say set step to 1. Okay, and then here we're gonna fetch data. Let's say we open a parking location, but since we don't have that yet, So I'm gonna leave a marker so I can do fetch data. Once we have the database everything set up, then we can do this one. And what I'll do for now, I'll say console.log fetch data like that. All right, and then I'll say if id and open fetch data. That means we're fetching something or we're editing something. Otherwise else my spot store dot restart. That means we're just starting a new one. So that's that. Okay. Now inside the dialog, actually we need some stuff here. So for the dialog header, dialog title, I'll come here, and for title I'll say list your spot. Okay, like that. So let's see, it's your spot. Okay, cool, that's coming. And then for the dialog description, and then I have data description. I'm going to leave that for now because we're going to just do it a little bit differently. But what I will do is I will create a dialog footer instead, and then inside this dialog footer I will create a div with the class name of basically flex dash column, and then margin top dash 4 and width dash full, and then space dash y dash 2 like that. And inside of here I'll create a button, and we're just going to call it submit. I think I need to bring it from here like that. So there you go, that's your submit button. And I think I should also add one for cancel, or sorry, list another. I'm just going to call it list another. So there you go, these are your two buttons. One thing I will do is I'm going to call this button, and I think we'll be using a form, so it's better to just be specific. So that will be that. But one thing I will do here is on click, okay, and then we'll say handle final submit, and I can come here and I can say const handle final submit. It's going to be a function, and I'll just do console.log. So for now, how about I spit out the stuff? But what we need to do here is submit data to the server, or save the data. I don't know, save the data in the DB, right? So that's what we're gonna do. And for the list another, I'm gonna give it a different variant. It's gonna be outlined. There you go, like that. And then on click, I'm going to do handle list another. Okay, I'm going to copy this, and we're going to come here and we'll do const handle list another. Okay, and we can do basically my app store dot restart, and then you want to do set step, you want to go back to the start like that. All right, so that takes care of that. Now so this is the description, right? So I don't think so I need the description, but one thing I will do, so I'm going to save it so that goes away, and we're going to create a div and space dash y dash 8. Okay, and we need a progress. So now we don't have a progress, so we're going to go to chatcn. We're going to find progress, and I'm going to copy it. We're going to come here and add it to our components like that. All right, go back here. Cool. So now let's see progress. There we go. And I'm going to do a value. So this is going to be step into increment. Okay, step increment like that. And let's close it off and let's see what happens. Cool. So as you can see, we're step number 1. So if I come here, for example, and I change this to step number 2. Okay, actually here, let me just comment this for now. I'm going to save it. Let's refresh. There you go. So that's step number 3. How about 1? So there you go. How about 4? That's the last step, 100% done. So cool. So that's that. So I'm going to bring this back here, and I'm going to save it. All right, so that's that. Now let's add the rest of the stuff. So for that, we need to come here, And under components, we're going to start adding them one by one. And the first thing we need is the new file, and it's going to be basically the spot address.tsx, like that. And I'm going to come here and I'll say spot address. So now we're going to start utilizing the address autocomplete. Actually, let's do that because that's exciting. I want to see that thing in action. So what I will do is, first of all, come here and I can do const my spot store is equal to use my spot store. Okay, so the reason why we're having this kind of global state is so that if we go back and forth between different steps, we kind of remember. And I'll do const message set message. Okay, we will use state for that, and it's going to be a string, and let's just do this for now. State from React, like that. All right, so we need a function, so I'll say function on submit. And so let's say if my spot dot data dot address, if the address is populated, then we're going to do something. And otherwise, basically what you do is set message to something like address is required. Okay, and so to this spot thingy address component, we need to pass in a function and on next, right? And basically it's gonna be of some type. And then if I come here, I can say type, we'll say list spot, actually yeah, list spot prop type. Okay, and then I think I need to do this. Okay, and so it's gonna be on next. Basically it's a function that returns void. We also need one for on previous, and it's gonna be of type void. Okay, so I think this should be optional because the thing is, on the first one you don't need the previous because you're already in the first step, so that's why we don't need it. And list list props type, like that. You know what I'm thinking, we'll be using this in the other step, so what would be nice if I can do export, or I can take this, go to this types right here, and I can actually put it here so we can utilize it and have it in a more center place. So let's do type. Cool, so that's that. All right, so then what do you do when the address is actually selected? We just call on next, like that. So let's come here, and what we can do is we can create a div.grid, and then with dash full and gap dash 1.5, like that. And then we'll also create h2 with a class name of text.xl, and small and above text dash 2xl, and then padding y of 4, font dash semi bold, like that, and it's going to be called address. All right, so you know what I will do is, if I come here, I'm going to close this and I'm going to close this. Okay, and inside this dialog we can actually start using this here. So the way to do this is spot address. Let me do this first, and then in here I think I can just do like this step. Okay, so this definitely need that on next. Okay, so handle next, and let's see, we can put that here. So let's say handle next step change, and I'm gonna copy this and I'll do const. Okay, and then what you do is if step is equal to total steps, right, then we return, because you don't want to go beyond that. Otherwise, say set step. Okay, and we say take the current step. Okay, and then add one to it, like that. So that will be that. Okay, so I'm gonna hit save, and what we need to do here is this should be step number 1, not 0. So there you go. So that's coming. So if I go to spot address, now we can start adding the address autocomplete. And for that, I will do address autocomplete. Okay. So remember, it had a couple of parameters we needed to pass. So on address select, okay, what I will do is I'm going to say handle address select. Okay, so definitely we need to add this one. So I can do const address select, and it takes parameters. So I forgot what we needed to. I think it was address string and then GPS codes of type lat long. Okay, so what we can do, the store, I can do update state, and then what you do is I'm going to update the address, so that's going to be address, and GPS codes are going to be GPS codes. Cool. So when an address is selected, that's how it's going to work. And also we had a selected address, and this is going to be my app store dot address, dot data dot address, like that. Cool. So if I hit save, okay, so it looks like the Google auto thing is working. So what if I start typing? Oh, look at that. Cool. Okay, so there's one problem I see. So the addresses that are coming, I'm able to select, well, kind of select them, but the problem that I'm having is when I select them, it actually closes the dialog. So we need to fix that. So to fix that, there's a trick we have to do, and that's right on the dialog content. Okay, so there's a function. It's called on interact outside, right? And I'm going to say handle on interact outside, like that. And then what we can do is we can say const or function, whatever you want to call it, is we need to handle this. So it's going to take an event, so a E of type event. Okay, and what you can do is you can say classes, const classes, okay, and this is basically an array of string, okay, like that. We do that, and then basically just go and compose a path, right? And compose path, that's the path that go through it, and then for each element of type any, okay, so we say if e dot class list, if element does class list, okay, if we have a class list, then classes dot push, and we say array dot from, okay, el dot class list, like that. Okay, so we compose. So basically, what you do is go through the target. So basically, target objects event path. You go through it for each element. Then, if there's a class list, you push it into this array. So we're kind of gathering the class list, and then after that, you just do like this. If classes join, okay, and we say dot includes, okay, and if it's pack container, okay, then what you do e dot prevent defaults. So now what the heck is going on? So let me click here and I will show you guys. So if I do CN tower, for example, let me inspect this so we can see what's going on. Let me maximize this. Let me maximize this, and let me maximize this. So the PAC, by the way, is the address autocomplete. That's what it is. So as you can see how we have these autocomplete these classes, and that's what actually we're trying to say, that if basically a click happened on them, prevent the default thing, otherwise it will close our dialog. So that's what we're trying to do here. I'm going to close this here, and I'm going to close that. So let me save this now. We're going to come here, and if I do, let's say CN tower, and you can see I clicked and it didn't close. How about I do Spadina station, boom. So there you go. So the address autocomplete is working and this not closing. That's pretty cool. Alright guys, so now we need to have a way so that when we click next, we should go to the next screen. So if I go to spot add, yeah, there's no button here. So let's add that. So for that, what I can do is if I come here and then I can do basically, let's say a button. It's coming from this one and it's gonna make it a button, and let's just do next. That's too visible, I don't like that, so a variant of ghost I think should be good. There you go, so that's that. And then on click, whoa, can I do on submit? Yes. Okay, I don't like how this is so in the middle, so why don't we find a way to fix this? What if I do div dash flex dash column, and then actually no, row should be good, so I'm just going to leave it at that and justify between. Let's see, I'm going to take this button and I am going to put it here. Cool, that's what I was looking for. So we have the next button here now, and that's cool. Now there's a bit of padding we need. Okay, I think that's not bad. So one thing that the problem is I have the submit and list another button visible. I think we should only have them visible on the last screen when we're in the final stretch. So maybe we should come here. Yeah, we need to fix this. So for this, I think we can take advantage of, let me see, can I, so let's do this. Let's bring this on next line so we can see. So I think, what if I did this, did this, and then do this, then you can do the, I think the interpolation thingy. So maybe I should do like this. If step, okay, is less than total steps, then hidden. Otherwise, I think we should be this. Let's see if this works. Okay, why is it? Oh, okay. Sorry, I think I should be like this, right? We're trying to close for this. So let me see. Ah, perfect. There you go. So since we're on step 1, so that's why now we don't see it. But when I hit next, we're going to go to the next step. So now for the next step, it's basically it's the number of spots. So let's add that quickly. So what I can do is I can come here, add a new file. Okay, I don't know what happened there. So let's add a new file, and I'm gonna say number of spots.tsx. Okay, and we're gonna do number of spots. Cool, let me save this, and if I come here and let's see, so I think I can do this, number of spots. Okay, so this is just for testing. So if I hit next, there you go. So we are going to the next step. That's pretty cool. Let me add next. Let's see what happens. We're not showing the message. We're supposed to be saying that you need to fill this. Let's see why. Oh yeah, we're not using this. Let's use it. So if I come here, I can say P and message. Okay, there you go. Address is required. How about give it a little bit of character? So text dash red dash 500. Okay, and then maybe this too big. There you go. So that's much better. And if I add something, let's say CN Tower, if I hit next, boom. So that works. And one thing, I think, let's see, can I do something like set message to this so we can reset it? Let me try this again. I'm going to close this. So let's say if I hit next, okay, and then if I do CN tower, boom, that goes away. Pretty cool. Next, beautiful. All right, so let's work on the number of spots. So we're done with the address one. So I'm going to close this so we don't get confused. And let's go to the number of spots. Okay, so for this one, we're going to utilize the form and all. And I'm going to do const form schema. And let's just do z from za.object. Okay, and we're going to do number of spots z dot coerce. So we want to coerce this as a number. Let's do basically this, not number, like that. And then what I can say, invalid type, let's say must be a number, like that. Also, let's specify the positive, because this is the number of spots. You cannot have negative spots. So we're gonna say message value must be positive. Okay, and then finite. You cannot have an infinite number of parking spots. So we can say message must be a valid number. Cool. So that's our schema, and now we can start utilizing it. So then what I can do, I can say type number of spots input, okay, z.infer, and it's going to be type of form schema, like that. Okay, then I can come here, and same thing, it's gonna get on next, on previous, and then this is going to be of type that list spot type. Remember we did that. And then const my spot store is equal to use my spot store, the one we created. So it kind of basically is the same deal, and you repeat it for the other one. So use form, okay, from React hook form, and this one is basically number of spots input, okay, and then resolver, it's gonna be zod resolver, like that. Okay, and we give it the form schema, and default values. Okay, I'm gonna do number of spots, so this is gonna come from the our store. It's gonna be my spot dot data dot number of spots. What? Like that. So that's coming from here. And then finally, we should also, we need a submit function, so we can say on submit, okay, and it's going to be data number of spots input, and we can say my spot store dot update state, and I can say number of spots data dot number of spots. Cool. So the store is getting updated, and when we hit submit here, then it is going to submit the entire data. Okay, so now this is getting an error because we need to pass in the on next. So I can say handle next step change. Let's see. Okay, and on previous, because we're on the second step, we should have a previous step. So I can say handle previous step change. I believe we have not created this. So how about we create this? I think I'm going to call it prev. So previous step change. So let's see. Const and okay, that weird. And then I can do basically like that. So here all you do is if step is equal to 1, then we return, we want to go into negatives. Otherwise steps, set step, current step, I'm going to do current step -1 so that we can go back. Okay, so that's that. So now if I come here, why is this guy erroring out? Let's see. I think I need to do this. Cool. So that's that. And now we can get cracking here. Okay, so let's do a div, and I'm gonna do grid, and then I'm gonna do width dash full, and then gap dash 1.5. Okay, like that. And then I'm gonna create h2. So this is the same, honestly, as this one. So I'm gonna copy this h2, and whoops, I'm gonna put it here. And then we're gonna say number of parking spots. Cool, so that's what we have here. Okay, and let's come here, and we're gonna create a form. Okay, from React hook form, and we're gonna spread the form on it. Okay, like that. And then I'm going to create a form. Okay, and then on submit, what I will do is I'll say form.handle submit, and then I'm gonna pass in the onSubmit function like that. Okay, let's scroll up. All right, and then what I need is a form field like that, and whoop, I think this is self-closing. Let me delete this. Okay, and what I will do is I'm gonna say control. It's gonna be form.control. Okay, and then name is number of spots, the same name that we chose above, and render. Okay, we need a render, and it's going to take a field. Okay, and then what we will do is I'm going to say a form item like that, and form control like that, and we'll create an input like that. Okay, and let's just do field, and then placeholder. I'll say just, let's say example 3 like that. And also we should give it the message, any error message, so the user can see. And I'll say form message. Cool, so that's that. Okay, beautiful. I think we had something happen. So let me type here CN tower. Next. Okay, use form context. Get field stays as it is null. Okay, let me add the buttons, and then we're gonna see what the heck is going on. And you know what I'll do for this one? I am going to take exactly this same thing, come here, paste. Okay, we have a button. Cool, and then on click, why is it actually, I don't need that, so I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna say previous. One thing I will do is, let's do this. Okay, and then on this one I will say on previous like that. So that's the previous one, and let's save it. Okay, let's see if I hit this, if I hit next. Okay, so we're having an issue with our form. So let's see, what did I mess up? If I go up, form use form is coming from React hook form. I think that's probably my problem. The form I want to come from this one. Let me save it. Let me refresh. Let's see, Niagara Falls. Aha, so that was the problem. Okay, so as you can see, I have I think the previous button will be nice that if it's here. So I think they should swap their spots. So let's do that. I'm gonna format this a bit. Cool, yeah, that makes more sense. So I can go back. As you can see, the address is remembered. I can go next. That's awesome. So I cannot go next because we need to add this other thing, which is the pricing. Yes, we need to add the pricing. So what I will do is, what if I copy this one and I'll say pricing. Okay, so that's that. And then let's just do here. So this one is not much different from the other one. So pricing, and then it's gonna be hourly, and then pricing data dot hourly. Oh yeah, it should be pricing price. Sorry, I thought this one was. Let me see. Oh yeah, that's fine. So data dot hourly. Why is it? Oh, sorry, it should be hourly. Okay, what am I doing wrong? So actually one thing I should do is fix this. Sorry guys, I'm just jumping around, but trying to fix this. Hourly, like that. Okay, so what am I saying here is hourly and number of, no, it should be pricing input. Pricing input should be pricing input like that. Okay, cool. And my sparse dot data dot price dot this one. Cool. So that's that. So that's fixed. And then this should be price input. Okay, so that's good. Ooh, aha. Oh, okay, 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 okay. This one. This one should be, since we're updating the store, so I'll say price. And what you can do is you can just do data, because the structure is same, so that's why you can do this. Okay, and then here we can do pricing. Okay, let me save it like that, and let's see. For this one I will do, let's say $10, and I think the rest of it does not change. So that's one benefit. If you keep the structure same, you don't have to change much. So then in here, what I can do, if I copy this, I can say 3. I'm gonna comment this for now, but for this one I will do pricing. There we go. And I don't think so we change much. The only thing we need to do is put a semicolon. If I save it, if I do, let's say next, let me refresh this. So let's do, let's say Niagara Falls next. So number of spots, let's say I have 10 spots. Okay, so it's not going to next to the address, or sorry, the pricing. Let's see what's going on. I'm going to close this and let's go to pricing. Let's see why. So we have on next, and one problem I see is if I go back here to the number of spots, so we have this on next function. Oops, right here. Yeah, we should be I think it's a good idea to use it, and the same goes for here on next. Cool. So if I come here, hit next, see what happens. I think I should do a refresh. All right, let's see. So address, so let's say Toronto. I don't know, I'm just gonna pick Toronto. Next, so number of spots, let's say I have 100 spots. Okay, cool. Still it's not doing anything. I think the one of the reason is this should be submit. This shouldn't be a button. And the same for this one. It should be submit, right? This should be submit like that. So that it's going to call this function and it's going to call next. Let's see. Okay, let's see. So let's say Toronto Pearson Airport. What the heck? And let's say I have 100 spots. Okay. When I hit next, it actually closed. That is weird. Let's figure out what's going on. So number of spots and type is equal to submit. So let me try again. Let me go to the console and we can see if we're getting any errors. So that's just coming from the Google whatever thing. I'm going to clear that. I'm going to do CN Tower. Next. Okay, so no error is being thrown, but so if I go back here and so that means we're coming here, next step change and set step. Let's put a console log on next. Cool. So we can see if this function is being called. Let's go to console and I'm gonna just put something next. Okay, so on next happened. So what if I press on next? Okay, so it did not do anything. Let me see why. Well, one of the things I noticed is, I mean, on scroll, I'm sure you guys must have noticed this. It should be on submit. So if I go to pricing, submit. Right, one thing about this is web development is these kind of things are not flagged. So you kind of have to, if you're stuck, you will be stuck for hours before you figure this out. But anyway, so I'm just going to refresh this page and let's just do CN Tower next. Boom, there you go. So now we're getting to the screen. So let's see in the pricing, do we have so here value is positive. So if I do next, okay, value must be positive. So that's working. And then the final thing we need is a summary kind of screen so that we can show the user, you know, the final thing before they can do a submission. So I'm just gonna copy this and I'm gonna call it summary. And let's close this and let's call this. So for this one, I don't need none of this stuff because it's just a summary. So I'm gonna get rid of all of that. I don't need this form, this thingy. I don't even need this. Okay, so let's do that. And then what we will need is pretty simple. So I'm not even bother gonna type this. But I will do is I'll just paste it. And what we're trying to do is so let me expand this so you guys can see. We're just creating a grid and we're just calling it summary. And all we're doing is whatever data we have filled, we're displaying that to the user. That's all. So they can just take a quick glance at the data. And we also don't need all these imports. So I think we can get rid of these. And that's that. Now one problem is the format amount for display. So we want to display the amount in a nice format, and that's a function we need to add. And that one we can add in the, so if I go here under lib and then in utils, we can add that function right here. So I'm gonna close that. And then what I will do is I'll say export function format. Let me see what we called it. Format amount for display, and it takes the price and the currency. So I'm gonna come here and do like this, and this takes an amount as we said, and then currency string. Okay, and it returns a string. Okay, so what we do is say number, and I'm gonna say format is equal new intl. So this is JavaScript built in, and then I'll say number format. Okay, and then you can just give it an array. I'm going to use US. Actually, let's use Canada since this is in Canada. And sorry, that's the language. So I'm gonna do US, and then what I will do, I'll say style is currency. And then currency, I'll do currency, and then finally currency display, and I'll say symbol. So display symbol for us, and then you can do something like const formatted amount. Okay, and then also number format dot format amount, like that, and then you will do return. Okay, so formatted amount, keep pressing the wrong keys. Formatted amount is equal to, let's say for some reason we couldn't format it, we return empty, otherwise formatted amount. Cool, so that should fix that. So then I can come here and I can say display. What? So if I do display, okay, that came in. So let's take this for a test drive. So if I just do a refresh, I'm going to say add location. So I'm going to punch in CN Tower, next, and let's say number of spots, I have 10. And the price, let's say it's an expensive area, I'm going to $20. Okay, nothing is being displayed, and why is that? So let's close this, close that, and yeah, that's the reason. We need to use it. So for, I'm gonna say summary. Whoa. Okay, is that what we call? Let's see, summary, and it should be summary. This should be summary. Cool. So now I can go here and let's do summary. And I think we need to put that comma. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. So as you can see, we're getting the address, the number of spots, and the hourly price. So there you go. That's properly formatted with a $sign and Canadian CA. Now I can go previous. I can go next. Okay, why is it that, let me just do a fresh one because I just saw one problem. I want to make sure I solve it. So let's say I do Niagara Falls, next, number of spots is 10. Next, let's do $20 and do this. Okay, so I have $20, number of spots 10, Niagara Falls. Okay, if I do previous, shouldn't I go to the previous screen instead of like all the way to the beginning? Are we doing anything that we shouldn't be doing? Let's see. So these are just debug statements. I'm gonna save this. So here, so if, oh man, -1, that's why. Lots of mistakes. Okay, let's just do next. So if I do previous, cool, yeah, I see. I'm going to pricing. I can go and change this to 100. Let's see if that updates. Yep, 100, pretty cool. If I change this to, let's say, $25, perfect. So now when I hit submit, what should happen is, did we add a final submit, handle final submit? Let's see here. So we should log all the data. So let's go ahead and do inspect console, and if I do submit, perfect, we're getting the address, the GPS scores, by the way, of this location. We're getting number of spot, we're getting the pricing, perfect. So now in the next tutorial, we're gonna come in and we're gonna add the database schema so that we can shoot this off to the server. Okay, I'll see you guys.